You guys ready for this? Woo. I know. The lights are not going to dim. I don't think that happens here. Right. They don't dim. It's off or on. So you guys don't want to be in the dark, do you? No. Okay. Well, welcome to the 2024 County Commission debate. Who's excited?
Woo woo.
I'm actually quite terrified, so I'm glad you guys are excited. I'm really excited that this year we have decided to stream this live on YouTube. So all the hecklers are drinking at Dewey's, or at home, that's fine. I know this debate is probably going to have lots of feelings. I have feelings. We all have feelings. But let's just remember to be super respectful. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. But first, I want to thank Star Hall. Thank you so much for hosting us every year. We're kind of a pain in the butt, so we really appreciate Star Hall letting us use this space. It's beautiful, so thank you so much for that. I want to thank all of the chamber members. We would not be doing this without all of you guys, so thank you so much for all the support we constantly get from you. Thank you to Cassie, our amazing director that took on this role. Wow. That I can't even believe she said yes. It was like, please. But so we're so blessed to have her, and I'm so glad that I'm not doing her job. I also want to thank the Grand County Moab community. Wow, what a place to live. I am so blessed to live here, and this would not be possible without all of you guys. So thank you so much for making this community home for me. I also want to say a huge thank you to the candidates. I love that there's two in every race because, honestly, without choices, democracy does not live. That's huge, guys. And these are our neighbors and our friends and the people that we shake hands with and hug and do business with. So with that in mind, I do want to ask for a huge amount of respect. I might have missed that day in kindergarten. Y'all know me. I'm a little mouthy. But respect is going to be huge here. So I'm going to ask, if you want to heckle, if you want to have all your feelings, please, Dewey's is a block away. Feel free. Go buy a cocktail, some food, give them some business. It is being streamed live there. So you can still hear all the candidates. Be very informed. Make sure you're voting from a very clean place. But these candidates, they're not life politicians, guys. They aren't trained to do this. They're not taking classes upon classes their entire careers on how to do debates and how to do public speaking. They're your neighbors. So please, let's just remember that they're up here as mostly a volunteer position for the most part, and it's scary, and it's hard, and we're going to ask them some hard things. So be respectful. We're going to ask that you clap after the end of every round, but don't have any big reactions. Don't like ooh or ah or boo or any of those things, please. And Taryn, my co-chair, is going to talk about our ground rules.
Okay, just a couple of ground rules. Shaylee already touched on a lot of them. Just to know, it is being recorded, so not only is it live stream, but it is recorded as well. And you can watch it. It'll be on our YouTube channel tomorrow, and it will also be on Channel 6 tomorrow as well. So you can stream. It'll be on a rotation, so if you miss it, just wait an hour or so, and it'll be on again. So there is a lot of effort that the candidates put into this. So again, please be respectful, and we appreciate you guys being here. None of the questions have been, none of the candidates have received the questions. This is brand new to all of them. It's actually us three are the only ones who know what's being asked. So just to clarify, no one knows the questions. It's been very quiet. It's been very hush-hush amongst even us three. So let's see here. Be courteous and respectful. Turn phones off. If you have crying children, please take them out. Please remain seated during the rounds. You can step out in between the rounds. And no interruptions or outbursts from the audience. And hold applause until each round is complete.
We do have two bouncers.
Where are they?
Anyone want to see Randy back here in
Randy's
the corner?
in the back.
And Jason over here, okay. Two bouncers. So
very scary dudes.
If you just have an outburst, you might get asked to leave. Please take no offense. We're really just trying to support our candidates and all the work they put in, okay? Yeah. So thank you so much, and we're gonna call up District 1 first.
Mm-hmm. And just as an FYI, before we started, we did We did a coin flip to determine who went first and who went second. Is it not on? What?
This is supposed to say Brittany Bohannon Melton. I really am sorry. She'll write it when she gets up here. So
Sorry about that.
Brittany Bohannon Melton.
Also, this is our first year doing it. Shaylee's a pro, but like she's dealing with amateurs here, so thank you.
And Trisha Dean. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we will first start with introductions. First will be Brittany Bohannon Melton.
Use this. Is it tested? Hello?
We tested them.
All right. Thank you guys so much for having us. This is quite the endeavor, so I appreciate all three of you. And I appreciate you guys being here. This is an important time for all of us in this valley. And I want to kind of explain a little bit about me. I'm Brittany Bohannon Melton. I'm saying my maiden name because I have called Grand County my home my entire life. I have my parents in the audience. I'm certain that they're up or down there kind of giving me the smiles. I can't see anybody. But I believe in good government, and I don't care what politics you are. I really don't. I'm running as unaffiliated. What I care about is the people that live here. I care about transparency in government, and I believe that government needs to be good in this valley. So what good government looks like is transparency. We need to have open and honest conversation amongst all stakeholders. We need to be able to have affordability. My 3 kids, I'm not certain that they're going to be able to come back here and live like my parents raised 4 of us and 3 of us live here. My brother's in the audience. I am also looking at accountability. My belief in accountability is you hold your electeds to what they said. So if they say housing's important, I expect housing to be important and see that through voting. If they say that they are concerned about their citizens, I expect them to show concern. So for me, good government is super simple. It's about hearing and listening, and that's what I'm here to do. Thanks.
Now for Trish.
My name is Trish Shadeen. I'm a county commissioner, and I'm running for re-election. I have been in this community for 23 years. I come from a hardworking logging family. My dad owned a logging company in Northern California. My brother's still there as a logger, so I have a core value of hard work. I've been an educator for 33 years in the public school system. I still teach within Grand County School District. I also teach for Utah State University. I am an advocate, and I always have been, for things that I cherish. One, hunting. I was a part of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation for many, many years here within this community, a part of the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources on the Regional Advisory Council. I was one of the founding members of Friends of Indian Creek because I love climbing. And lastly, I'm a county commissioner because I have great passion and care deeply for this community, specifically the rural parts of this community. I grew up in a very rural community. We always had livestock. I currently have livestock, and I want to advocate for that part of our community. So whether it be South Spanish Valley, Castle Valley, Thompson, parts of the eastern side of Green River. I bring experience, and I think that means a lot. I bring a depth of knowledge that comes with being a county commissioner, and feel that I can take that experience and become extremely effective in the next 4 years. So thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, candidates. So our first question will go to you, Tricia. The state of Utah recently found that, Trish. The state of Utah recently found that Grand County was out of compliance with the use of TRT and TRCC funds, and the state auditor stated that they are withholding tax revenue until the county is in compliance. What steps would you take to get into compliance and then remain in compliance for the future TRT and TRCC spending?
So out of the 5 findings, we have already corrected one of those findings. It was basically a clerical error, just transposing some numbers. We have changed that. The other 4 findings we feel are an interpretation of code. And we are, as a commission, and whether it's not the entire commission, but we have voted 5-2 to refute those findings. And we are currently, we have our county attorney, one of our county commissioners, and our clerk auditor working with those state auditors to come to some basically, just, I don't know what you would say, but just some, hey, this we'll give here, you give there. We feel like we're very close. We have a team working very close with the state auditors and feel that that will be resurrected very, very quickly. So I'm going to stand by that, we feel that our interpretation of those findings is correct.
Thank you. All right, candidate number 2, I'm going to ask you the same question. I'll reread it. It says, the state of Utah recently found that Grand County was out of compliance with the use of TRT and TRCC funds, and the state auditor stated that they are withholding tax revenue until the county is in compliance. What steps would you take to get into compliance and then remain in compliance for future TRT and TRCC spending?
And I get 2 minutes? 2 minutes.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, because this is affecting every single person in this room. TRT, I love TRT. Why? Because we get to use that money for mitigation in the majority of the way. I want to just rebut a little bit there. 2 audits, 2 hearings, $4 million misspent, and our tax revenue being frozen is not a clerical error or a difference of opinion. It's a problem, a big problem. Yet still no accountability from our leadership, including our chair and our vice chair, who our chair's not even going to argue this. It's going to be the vice chair. Leadership we are lacking in this county in a giant way. I also feel that there was a really good quote in the paper recently from one of the citizens, and I want to kind of just read that to you. It says, "Why don't you get together and be accountable, responsible adults, admit the mistakes were made, admit that mistakes were made and communicate with each other, fix the problem and move on. The citizens and the taxpayer of Grand County deserve that." I couldn't agree more. They are being reckless with our money at this moment. The state is holding it. It's not just the big bad state. What it comes down to is we still have to follow the law. And so for me, it's all about these people in this room, our business owners, our taxpayers in general, because we are dependent on that money. And right now, they're just gambling it like it's no big deal. So I don't agree that it's a clerical error. I think it's lack of leadership, and we need better leadership, and I'm here to do it.
Can we hold the applause till the end? Sorry. No applause till the end of the entire round, sorry. And I'm sorry we forgot the rebuttals, so if it's okay, we're just not going to rebuttal that question, if that's okay. So we're just going to start with the next question. Brittany, this one will start with you. In our world today, it is easy to be divided. If you were elected, how would you work with those on the commission who you may not agree with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that my experience being in leadership roles in general, I have been, some of the things, background on me, I'm very much a sports person. I've spent many times on sports teams. I've led teams in a business aspect. I am a volunteer youth volleyball coach. In fact, my girls are playing right now down the street. However, I am really good at being able to talk to people. To me, the longer you talk to somebody, the more common ground and more commonality you're going to find. So to me, it's just relationship building, and that's pretty simple. All it is a phone call. All it is hearing people out and being able to hear their concerns and maybe saying, hey, have you thought of my concern? So to me, it's an email to the city and say, I don't think that property tax was awesome. How about we look at the county for some of this? I know a lot of the city council's in here. I would love to sit down and talk with you guys because we're making our citizens pay for problems, and really the purse is with the county. If we look at the state is kind of looking at Grand County like they don't like us. They see us as not making the trip up there to talk to them. They see us as kind of saying, well, we interpret it differently. So to me, it's just about relationship building, talking to the people that have maybe an opposite side view of you, but you just talk through it and you say, tell me more, and you peel that layer back to be able to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to talk and bring everybody to the table.
Trish, rebuttal?
I mean, it's kind of hard to hear you say that because in the almost 4 years that I've been a commissioner, you have done nothing but divide us, whether it be social media posts, whether it be coming to planning commissions, county commissions, manipulating other commissioners. It's been divisive, and I'll just state that. And the leadership, I was a coach also, but I've also led in many other higher up capacities. So I just feel that overall I am a better leader, and I do have the ability to talk to people.
Thanks, Trish. Okay, now Trish, you have the same opportunity to answer this question. In our world today, it is easy to be divided. If you're reelected, how would you work with those on the commission who you may not agree with?
Well, I think I have been. Specifically, I'll use Mike McCurdy as an example. I've spent a lot of time more recently with Mike, getting to know him. Every time he walks in the room, we have a great conversation. I try really hard to talk to people on just the, person-to-person level. We all just met over there and we had some great conversations. So I agree with Brittany. I think that face-to-face is the way to speak to people and to have that respect. I think online slander and online bullying is not the way to reach cooperation and cohesion. And we've seen a lot of that, and it's not coming from me.
I get my 30 seconds.
Brittany, rebuttal?
Yeah. So my opponent up here is stating that she's had 4 years to figure all this out. And 4 years shouldn't take 4 years to figure this out. 4 years is a long time to relationship build and to prove that. So to me, if we're really working on relationships, those relationships shouldn't take 4 years. I haven't seen any formal communication between the county, the city, and that's pretty upsetting from a leadership perspective. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is I don't know that I'm divisive. What I am is I'm informative. So I am able to communicate and articulate what is happening, and I feel like I do a pretty good job of that.
Thank you, candidates. Trish, it's your turn. Oh, for this other question. Sorry, I'm like, let's just keep rebuttaling all night long, guys. No. Okay, so the question for you, Trish. There has been a lot of concern about the county's property tax schedule and assessments. Tell us about your thoughts on county property tax and how you would address property owners' concerns.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I have been working really closely with the county assessor more recently. Myself, Bill Winfield, our county attorney, had a meeting with her recently. We have been assessing properties on a 5-year rotation. That is changing. It is a slow process. The state is mandating and has mandated quite a long time ago that take place. Is it not? Oh, you're good. Oh, okay. Our county assessor, Debbie Swayze, has been working with the state to move into that system. I think that will alleviate a lot of that angst that comes with the reassessment every 5 years. And the reality is, since 2014, we have seen explosive property values, and that's just because we're basing it on fair market value. And a lot of that comes from second homeowners coming in and paying whatever people are asking. So, we are working on that. We're working closely with the assessor. One thing I will state is we do have one of the lowest tax rate. We have the 4th lowest tax rate in the state. I know that doesn't alleviate a lot of pain that people are feeling, but we do not assess at a high tax rate compared to the value of a home.
Okay, thank you. Brittany?
Is this the 30 seconds? I'm sorry.
Rebuttal. Yes, rebuttal.
Could you repeat that, what the question was? Just so I remember what she said, or are you going to do that next?
I'll do that next.
Okay. All right. So what I'm hearing in that is I don't necessarily care about who's paying the bill, and that's the hard part for me. I get that we need to have assessments every year, so we have a gradual increase. But what I'm hearing, especially from this leadership, is they don't care about that tax rate. You just heard her. She said, hey, it's not that high. We have one of the lowest. But I'll tell you, the city property owners are hurting.
Okay, Trish, follow-up question. With our assessor running unopposed, do you feel like it's important, and how should we be encouraging other people to run so that we have choices?
I would agree with that statement. I think Debbie works extremely hard. I think her team works extremely hard. But the reality is, I do think there's value, you stated it, in having democracy, having choices. And I would encourage people to run as county assessor, county surveyor, et cetera, and so on. So yeah, I would agree with you that I think it's extremely important.
Thank you. All right, Brittany. So the question again, there has been a lot of concern about the county's property tax schedule and assessments. Tell us about your thoughts on county property tax and how you would address property owner concerns.
So one of the things about the commission is they do get a lot of decision making. And they do have power on the contracts that we use with maybe like the, I'm trying to remember, the Board of Equalization appraiser. The appraising portion of that is not easy. It takes several years to get that licensing. It takes several years of trying to get expertise on how to appraise. My background is in banking and then onto insurance. So I do know a lot about appraising. And the awesome part is we have a lot of technology that should alleviate and help with some of what the county county assessor is going through. However, we do have the ability to affect and to look at contracts through who we do business. My belief is the county should still give really good service. And it sometimes is on a frustrated level. Maybe your property's in the floodplain, which we could talk about flooding. But the floodplain, maybe you can't build there, or so should that be assessed differently? Maybe so. That's why we need to lean on our county assessor and really get her expertise and advice on what, why, and how come, and we can maybe fix some of the things that people are feeling.
All right, thank you. Trish, do you have a rebuttal?
I mean, I would just state that again, I just had a meeting with the county attorney, Bill Winfield, and myself with the county assessor, and we are looking closely at her process, looking at how we are moving through that process to where we get to yearly assessments. And we talked about things like, you know, property that doesn't have a lot of value. And so we are looking into that as a commission.
Thanks, candidates. Brittany, you'll start this round. Look into the future, 5 years. If we were to follow your vision for this county, what would that look like?
So my vision for the next 5 years is I think that there is power in non-micromanagement. Right now, we have a 7-person commission that is trying to micromanage everything in our county. We need to be able to look at our experts, hear our experts, and be able to say, hey, I would love to see some more housing, and more specifically, transitional housing, meaning apartment buildings. So I'm going to go back to those experts that are sitting on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm going to go to the director of all the different departments, and I'm going to give them a clear vision as to why that we need housing in general. That's a good example. However, what we're doing is we're micromanaging and we're pushing people aside, and we're not hearing those. We have a mass exodus on all of these different departments. we need to ask why. Do we have a management problem? Do we have a leadership problem? We do have a leadership problem. So if I'm looking 5 years in the future, I'm looking at all of you guys making it a better life in Grand County, whether it's through your finances, whether it's through enjoying the backcountry, or whether it's through a left-hand turn signal. I don't necessarily care as long as everyone in here has a voice and is able to give their opinions on that. So leadership is important. It's giving a clear direction and trusting those experts to come back with a plan and not micromanaging. Thank you.
Trish, you got a rebuttal?
Do I have 30 seconds or 2 minutes? Just 30 seconds?
Yes.
I see a future where we all maintain some quality of life. As I've been out knocking on doors, people are like, you know, there's just so much of this or so much of that, and so we need to find some balance. We need to we need to allow development that gives a little bit and then doesn't just take. And so what that means is if developers are coming in, we're like, what are you going to give back to our community? We need to take care of our public lands. We need to take care of our water resources so that we have a valley that we all want to stay in.
So Trish, that was your rebuttal, so you actually can re-answer the question for 2 minutes if you'd like. Look into the future 5 years. If we were to follow your vision for the county, what would that look like? Do you want to continue? Okay. Would you like to rebuttal?
I would love to rebut that. So quality of life, I want to just define. Quality of life can be different for every single person. So it might be a little different to maybe somebody that lives in Castle Valley that, you know, is only worried about dark skies and less neighbors, to the person who is trying to feed 2 people and get 2 bowls of food on the table. So we really need to work on trying to understand all perspectives. And right now, we only have one.
Thank you, candidates. We appreciate you being here. Brittany, we will give you some time for a closing statement. Correct.
In closing, I want to promise to you guys that I'm going to hear. I'm going to listen to every single person, regardless if I agree or not, because I think that that's respectful. And I also am going to be informative. I will be the transparent voice for Grand County. I will also be a person who cares. I think a lot of times we're failing to care about our neighbors, and it is important that we care. I also can promise you that it's not going to take me 4 years, to figure out, what was the word? I think it was, instead of drink out of a fire hose, it's going to be drinking out of a garden hose. That's not me. I will have my feet under me. I will get informed, and I will run from day one because it is important and imperative for all of you guys. It's important and imperative for our future. I would love to see my 3 children come back here. I would love to be able to offer a different economy because we do need to diversify our economy. But we also need to be fair and honest, transparent, accountable, and I believe that good government starts with good leadership. I need your vote.
Thank you. Trish, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Okay, thank you. So in the next 4 years, I want to look at long-term holistic flood mitigation. My opponent said she was going to talk about flooding, but she didn't, and that's something we as a county are working really hard on. Our county engineer is just spot on, and we're working on just a holistic mitigation for that. I've already mentioned a few things. I really want to work on county autonomy. Our state legislature is quite hard on us, but the reality is this community knows best, our leaders know best what we need in this community, not the state legislature. We need to work with them, but in times when they're pushing on us, we need to push back when it is appropriate for just the health of this community. I want to look at just basically, I want you to take the time to really research your candidates, look back at their history. You're welcome to look back at my social media. You're welcome to look back at her social media, however you want to do that. But the reality, look hard, research your candidates, look at their value systems, look at their attitudes, and I think you'll find that I am the better leader. And so that's about where I sit with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, District 1 candidates. All right, District 2 candidates, will you please come up? If I can have District 2 candidates, please come up.
Okay, let's welcome our District 2 candidates. We have Jason Ramsdell and Melody McCandless. We are going to go ahead and start with Jason with your opening statement.
Great, thank you. It's nice to have all you here. It's a great crowd. I'm running for District 2, and I like to say that, you know, this is new to me. I'm new to public office, but I'm not new to public service. I've spent 30 years in the National Park Service. 20 of those years were law enforcement, and I had a great career moving around the national parks, 14 national parks. But I have a quick story, is that I had already worked 10 years in the National Park Service, and my wife and I had always wanted to get to Moab and to Arches, and it was so hard back then because everyone wanted to work there if you were a ranger. Finally, we made it here in 2003. We bought a house in 2004, and I worked 3 years at Arches National Park. My career took me to other national parks around the country, but I always came back to Moab. I loved Moab so much, and I came back every year to coach wrestling at the Grand County High School. And then I finally was able to come back in 2015. I worked at Canyonlands National Park for 7 years, and then I decided to retire. And since retiring, I'm working at the elementary school. I'm a substitute teacher, and I'm very active in search and rescue. I love Moab. I've learned a lot about gateway communities, working around the nation, and what it takes for a gateway community to be healthy. And I have that understanding, and I want it to succeed. I want it to have strong schools, great emergency services, great economy, great infrastructure, and all those things that we need to call this place home. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Mel, it's your turn.
Hi, so I'm Melody McCandless, and I'm running for District 2 as County Commissioner. I have, Shaylee said this was scary, and it is scary. It's not as scary to stand up here on the stage in front of all of you, but it's scary to run for an office in this town. I've been here for 35 years, and I watch people get beat up and what they're doing, so I think it's a big deal to be here. And a lot of people know me, and I've been volunteering my entire time. I've lived here 35 years, and I moved here in 8th grade. 8th grade, I was in Honor Society. I was actually inducted right here on this stage. And then I did Honor Society all through high school. And so, volunteer service for this community is nothing that I'm shy from. But I want to tell you the real reason that I'm running for County Commission. It's not to continue on my volunteer service, because I will be doing that for the rest of my life. But it's because I see a huge divide in our community. And that divide is tearing us apart. And I feel like I have the skills to bring people together. So I think that the leaders in our community need to be bridge builders, and they need to be peacemakers. And so that's what I want to bring to the commission. I want to bring in the environment of getting along and creating things and making things happen. Because without getting along, we can't accomplish anything. So I want to bring everyone together. I want to work with the city. I want to work with the state. That doesn't mean we all just agree. That means we have really good conversation and we come together for great decisions to make this place a better place to live. Thank you, and I look forward to this debate.
Thank you, Melody. Jason, we're going to ask you the question first. So, many people feel that the relationship between the city and the county is strained. Where do you feel the biggest opportunities to change that feeling lie, and how would you go about fixing it?
Yeah, this isn't difficult. These are just personal relationships. I've actually worked 30 years in government. I understand how government works. I understand how to navigate government, and that's all the way down to state governments and local governments. And yeah, being professional and respectful, I think, is the key. Having open conversations, group meetings, and public forums, and an open dialogue. It's not that hard to do, and I'm very excited to do that with the city and with the county. And yeah, I think it's easy to do, and I think we can do it, and I look forward to the future in doing that.
Thank you, Jason. Melody, I'll give you 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
Okay, I think that, you know, Jason says that it's easy for our city and our county to get along, and so I'm just wondering why that's not happening right now. I think it can be easy by creating those relationships, and those relationships I already have with many of our city council members, as well as the community in general.
So I will ask you the same question. Many people feel that the relationship between the city and the county is strained. Where do you feel the biggest opportunities to change that feeling lie, and how would you go about fixing it? You have 2 minutes.
So I think the first thing to do is to bring back meetings, collaboration meetings between the city and the county. And I think that is easy to do. We just ask for that to happen. I think that there's a lot that the city and the county can accomplish together. Really, I think that we're all one. The county and the city of Moab, everyone comes into the city for their services. We all live in this county. And I think that's an imperative to be one and to talk to one another. I think spending time getting to know our city council members and our mayor and respecting them and listening to what they have to say and creating joint efforts. So looking at the community and deciding what we can do together and make that happen. I do think that the city tax that they just proposed could have been avoided if the county commission had stepped in and said, hey, you know, we can help you out with some of this. And that could have came from TRT money that went to other places. So I do think that we can work together. I look forward to working together with the city and the county, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Jason, you have a rebuttal if you'd like to.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is that I worked 20 years in law enforcement, and I understand conflict resolution. I've been in so many difficult situations, from arresting people to working tragic car accidents, and I understand what it takes to de-escalate. I understand how to talk to people. I understand how to educate people, and working with the city is not going to be nearly as confrontational, and I look forward to using those skills to work with the city.
Thank you. Mel, I have a follow-up question. So you said it's easy and you don't know why the county is. Do you have a reason why you believe they aren't working well with the city?
No, I don't have a reason. I'm curious. You know, I think that they should be having joint meetings, and I don't know why they haven't. And I've actually heard it's because they couldn't get anything accomplished, so it's a waste of time.
Thank you, candidates.
Okay, Mel, we're going to start with you. Local businesses are struggling with the increased cost of goods and labor. What role, if any, do you think the county can play in helping our local businesses thrive?
Will you repeat the question, Shaylee, please?
Local businesses are struggling with the increased cost of goods and labor. What role, if any, do you think the county government can play in helping our local businesses thrive?
That's hard since I mean, our county doesn't have control over the cost of goods. You know, unfortunately, that's what I do for a living as I sell food. And I've been watching the cost of goods go up ridiculously, and it really breaks my heart. In my line of work, that's what I do, is I help the restaurants and the small businesses in this community to have good food costs, to have good waste control, to have good labor. And so I don't necessarily think that's anything that the county can help with. I think taxation is something that the county can help with. You know, Trish mentioned that we have one of the lowest tax rates, and that is fantastic. But the thing is, our property values are so high that the actual dollar amount doesn't correlate to being a low amount. And so our business owners and our commercial businesses get they're taxed to the core. You know, they get huge tax amounts. Us as residents have a tax break, but those commercial properties don't. And that has to relate down into their food costs. It relates down into what they can pay their employees. And so, I mean, if we can really look at our tax on our, you know, and it goes back to that assessment too. You know, the assessments are high in those businesses. That's a good thing in one hand, that we have high property values, and then it's a really bad thing when we have to pay the taxes on that. So, you know, that is what is really driving the cost to our businesses in the small community. So,
Jason, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
I don't have a rebuttal. I'll use my 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, working in gateway communities across the nation, 14 of them, I've kind of grown to understand what it takes to make a strong economy and strong businesses. And it's not too difficult, but 3 things need to happen. One is that you need to have a really quality product and really quality experiences. And we do have that. There's nowhere better in the nation for that. We have public lands, we have 2 national parks, we have state parks, we have BLM land, and all these experiences, from mountain biking to UTVs to rafting, all of that. So we have a quality product, we have quality experiences, and we need to protect that. And we cannot let our public lands degrade, because that's the lifeblood of those quality experiences and the quality product. 2, you need affordable housing for the workforce. If you can't house your workforce, you're not going to have people working in your shops. You're not going to have people around to guide. You're not going to have mechanics. You're not going to have dentists. You're not going to have plumbers. How many of you have tried to find a plumber in town? It's not easy, right? So we need affordable housing, and we're going to keep working on that, and I will keep working on that. 3, you need quality of life for your locals. It's important. It's just as important as the other 2 topics. If you don't have quality of life for your residents, you will find that your children will want to leave, and you don't want that. You also want dark skies and quiet streets and a respite from the craziness of tourism. And they won't leave, and they will be happy, and they will not upset your tourism, which has happened across the world, right? You've heard about this backlash. We can't tolerate a backlash, and every bad post, everyone giving a stink eye, or everyone flipping people off, that's going to get out, and it's going to hurt our tourism. So we need those 3 things. Thank you.
Thank you. Mel, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Okay, I agree with Jason on the fact that we have a great product and that we need to love that product, because that is why people move here. I don't think it has anything to do with, though, the escalating cost of goods or the escalating cost of being in Moab. But I do think that that without our employees having a safe place to live, our businesses are going to struggle. And so that's all I have to say, is I don't think that dark skies or quality of life or housing is going to help our businesses.
Thank you. Jason, quick follow-up question. When you talk about affordable housing, I would love if I could just hear if you would define what affordable means to you.
Affordable housing is needed in our community. It's where we can have housing for all different income levels, from low to moderate to high. We need to continue that. We need to continue all the things that the county has been doing with high-density housing overlay, with community rebuilds. We need to keep doing the great work that the Housing Authority of Southern Utah has done, and we need to make it more affordable for all of us for housing and to try to keep taxes low as well.
Thank you, candidates. All right, we're going to start with you, Jason, for the third question. Look into the future 5 years. If we were to follow your vision for the county, what would it look like?
Yeah, I'll go back to those things I mentioned. We'll continue to have a quality product. We'll continue to have product quality experiences for our tourism and for our visitors. We'll protect our public lands. For affordable housing, we'll keep doing that. We'll increase the stock of affordable housing. Right now, from the work that the commission has done, there's already 300 different type of housing available, and we're going to increase that. So that's going to continue. And then we're going to continue on quality of life for us and for all the folks out there sitting there and living in Moab. So those things are going to happen in the next 5 years, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Thank you, Mel. This is time for a rebuttal.
I just want to mention the HDHO overlay that he mentioned, hasn't really made a lot of homes, and we need to really look at that when we get into office. One of us, anyways, needs to look into it when we get into office there. I think that there's some rewording that we need to work on that, but I agree that the future has a lot to look forward to, and I think that our town has all of the great things to offer that'll just continue to be successful.
Thank you. So for the same question, look into the future 5 years. If we were to follow your vision for the county, what would it look like?
Okay, so I believe that whether the issues are housing, education, public lands, or water, that we all need each other to accomplish our goals. So with my vision is that we can collaborate, we can talk about things, we can make things happen, and I foresee a way better Grand County 5 years from now than I see right now, and that's because people are going to work together. We're going to work hard. I'm not afraid to go talk to people. I'm not afraid to go door to door. I'm not afraid to come to property owners and say, hey, we really need to look at some of this density, and I know it's going to bother you, and I know that it's hard to change. But without those changes and without those conversations, then we are just going to stay where we are. So if we keep doing what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. The other thing I think is that I believe that quality of life starts with being able to afford secure housing and life's necessities. And so when I look at dark skies, it concerns me. I love our skies. I've lived here forever, 35 years. But in the neighborhood that Jason and I live in, there's no sidewalks. We all have children riding around their bicycles, people walking their dogs. Their cars are parked out in the road, and it's dark. It's really dark, and it concerns me. So I really care about the safety of this community, and I just want it to be the best place ever to live. I do want to see housing. That's an important thing for me. I think that we have to look at short-term solutions. The county needs to find incentives, and those are all the same thing, through working together, being united, and having collaboration, and talking to those experts. Brittany talked about experts, and we have lots of community programs or boards out there, and we need to rely on them.
Jason, you have time for a rebuttal.
Thanks. First of all, dark skies does not mean dark streets. That's the first thing I'll say about that, and probably the last tonight. Second, in 5 years, I hope there is no Cane Creek luxury resort, and I'll do my best to stop that. Thank you.
Hold applause, please.
We cannot afford to have a resort community here. To talk about affordability, that's going to crush our affordability. And 3, I really want sustainable growth over 5 years. Slow, steady, sustainable growth where we do not love it to death. Thanks.
Okay, last question for this round. We're going to start with Jason. The state of Utah recently found that Grand County was out of compliance with the use of TRT and TRCC funds, and the state auditor stated that they are withholding tax revenue until the county is in compliance. What steps would you take to get into compliance and then remain in compliance for future TRT and TRCC spending?
You know, there's a lot of debate over TRT right now. I haven't been on the commission. I don't understand the complexities of that. But what I do understand is that the current commission is working for you, and they're trying their best. And we talk about affordability, and we talk about high taxes. Well, maybe if we tax tourists a little more, maybe our taxes will go down. And so they're using it to the best of their ability. It's TRTs for two things that I really care about: mitigation of impacts from tourists and paying for law enforcement, our solid waste, roads, and EMS and search and rescue, which I am a member of. And so they're using that money effectively, I think. The second thing is for promotion and education. And I work search and rescue. I see what happens when people are not educated. They don't understand the heat. They don't understand where to drive with UTVs. They don't understand where to hike. And I think we do need more of education with TRT money. So I think the TRT money debate is about interpretation. I am proud of the commission for looking at the interpretation and using it for you out in the audience, how we can use that money to help us. That's super important. And so we'll continue to do that on TRT money. And yeah, I'm proud of them for doing that and pushing back. The last thing is that if we give $4 million back to the state without a little pushback, it comes from property taxes. And we're going to probably have to pay more property taxes. There's no other way to put that money into that fund. So I'll keep working on legal interpretation of TRT and using it wisely for you folks.
Mel, rebuttal. Hold your applause, please. Mel, rebuttal.
So that $4 million that needs to be repaid isn't going to the state. The $4 million that needs to be paid just needs to go from our general fund back into those restricted accounts, and that's all that the state's asking them to do. I think budgets are difficult to understand, and I think that we have to look at each line item, line by line, and see where the money got put, but I don't think it'll raise our property taxes. I think if, I'll finish the rest in my 2 minutes.
All right. Would you like me to repeat the question? The state of Utah recently found that Grand County was out of compliance with the use of TRT and TRCC funds, and the state auditor stated that they are withholding tax revenue until the county is in compliance. What steps would you take to get into compliance and then remain in compliance for future TRT and TRCC spending?
Well, I think if you get pulled over by a police officer and you argue with them about that you were speeding, it's probably not going to work out very well in your favor. And so I don't know what our commission did. I'm not on the commission, and I don't know if this was intentional or if it was, what it was. I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt that there was a mistake. But if there was a mistake, if I made a mistake in my taxes and the IRS sent me a thing that said, hey, you're out of compliance, you didn't do your taxes right, you need to pay us X amount of money, I would immediately figure out what was going on, immediately contact them, immediately work through all the processes that I needed to be so that I wouldn't be in trouble. And I don't feel like our commission did that. I feel like they just kind of shrugged their shoulders and was like, we're just going to see what's going to happen, and we're going to push back. And I just don't think that was the best thing to do, because right now, all of our property taxes and all of our TRT are being held hostage by the state. And it's super scary. I think about if I did get elected for a commission, and not having that TRT money next year scares me to death. It should scare everyone. If we don't have that TRT, we can't pay for law enforcement. We can't pay for search and rescue. We can't pay for EMS. We can't pay for the mitigation, and the tourists are going to keep coming. Even if we don't advertise, they're going to keep coming. And so we need that. I think it's super important to protect that. And I think that if I screwed up on accident, I would want to say, let me fix it, and let me do what I can to fix it. And the state is, looking at TRT legislature right now, and they may drop that, and that scares me too. So.
Jason, 30-second rebuttal. And can we please hold our applause till the end of the round? I know this is a hot topic. I
30
asked several
seconds,
times, please, no more applause.
I'm sorry? First of all, I'm probably the only one that should use a law enforcement analogy. Second is that, you know, there was no nefarious or ill will on the commission. And I think some commissioners saying that is not conducive and helpful to our community, right? They're trying to do the best that they can. There was no ill intent, and I'm proud of them for doing the best they can for us.
I have a quick follow-up question for both of you, and I'll start with Mel. How do you feel about the state saying that mitigation is not the same as promotion?
Well, I don't think that mitigation is the same as promotion. We get 63% of our TRT money, which is, if we get $8 million in TRT money, then like 6.5%, quick math, is what's going for mitigation. And then the other 2.5 is going for that, that 37%, which is gonna be not just promotion, but it's also for recreation. We can give it to the pool, we can give it to our ballparks. So mitigation is different than promotion.
Thank you. For opening statements, Jason. Oh, Jason, sorry, if you have the follow-up question, which was?
How do you feel about the state saying mitigation is not the same as promotion?
Yeah, that's a fine line, but I'm in favor of mitigation and mitigating tourism impacts and passing that on back to them and maybe helping our community and lowering our taxes. I believe that promotion and encouragement of tourism can be educational videos. It's still attracting people. People see that and they enjoy it, and they learn a little at the same time on how to protect our public lands, which is the lifeblood of our economy in Moab.
Thank you, candidates. Jason, we will give you 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Great, thanks. You know, I really think I'm the strongest candidate. I've spent 30 years in public service. I've worked 20 years in law enforcement, protecting visitors and the public and employees, working emergency services every day of my career. Up to the last day, I wore a bulletproof vest and a gun, and I was out there saving people and being an EMT, a wildland firefighter, and working for our tourists. And then I wanted to also continue that public service, and I wanted to work where the tourism is now affecting the community and affecting our residents. And so, yes, I'm kind of changing the what I'm focusing on, but I have a deep, deep understanding of gateway communities. I have a deep passion for Moab, and I'd like to make this a great place for all of us to live and to enjoy and to stay here in Moab and love our public lands and love our tourism and focus on sustainable long-term growth in Grand County. Thanks.
Mel? Excuse me, sorry, Mel, you have 2 minutes.
All right, so I would counter that I think I'm the best candidate because I have those relationships. So I've been in this community for over 35 years. So I've lived here, I've worked here, I raise a family here, I have tons of friends. I've been in on lots of boards, volunteer positions. You know, I was EMT for 20 years. I didn't do that as my full-time job though. That was just in my spare time. And Jason, we appreciate all of the things that you've done for the communities that you've lived in. I think that we both have a ton in common, actually, but also the difference is those relationships that I have in this community. So I know who to go talk to, when to go talk to them. I can bring people together from all sides, and that's why I really think that's where I have that strong piece. I'm smart, I'm a hard worker, and I think that anybody that knows me has seen that. I deal with 76 of our small business owners in this community every day, day in and day out. I listen to the business owners, I talk to their employees, I listen to their struggles, and so that's really where, you know, I'm out there. I'm out in the community every day listening to everyone, and I can take that information back to the commission and back to the people that are making the decisions and use all of the community's advice and struggles and wins to make this community better. And so I do believe that good leadership creates peace and prosperity in a community, And that's what I'm here to do.
Thank you, candidates from District 2. We're going to take a quick 5-minute breather. Anyone need to use the restroom, but make it quick, please, so we can get back. trailer said 7:05. So, well, I didn't forget to look. It was 7:06 technically. 7:01 to 7:06.
So that'll be
I ran to the bathroom real fast. Oh, that's a good idea. You got, can I have some?
ibuprofen or Tylenol?
Either one, whatever you got in your hand.
Tylenol first.
I will at the end. And it's the superintendent. Remember his name? Mike McFall. Like Megan McFall? Are they related? We just turned up the mic. Thank you. I need another water. Okay, you ready? All right, this is the 10-second warning to get back in your seats, please. We're about to start with District 3. Just so everyone knows, we did a coin toss before we started. That's how we chose who went first. So in this instance, Howard is going first and Jacques will be going second. So Howard, we will start with you. 2 minutes for your introduction.
Good evening, everyone. Grand County needs responsible leadership and puts locals first. We need leaders who will prioritize working families, small businesses, and the well-being of our community. Right now, our county is struggling with key issues: rising property taxes, unattainable housing, and a disconnect between the county, Moab City, and the state. As your County Commissioner for District 3, I will work to fix these problems, and more importantly, I will work for you. My opponent may offer excuses for why things are the way they are, but the fact remains, our leadership is failing us, and it's time for change. Look at the recent property tax increases. This is what happens when our local government fails to work together. Grand County and Moab City are not collaborating as they should, and it's costing us. I will foster real partnerships between the county, the city, and the state. We need leadership that brings people together to find common ground and solutions, not more infighting or finger-pointing. I believe in constructive dialogue and a willingness to collaborate with all levels of government to the benefit of our county. Our current leadership has failed to take responsibility. Instead of owning up to their mismanagement, they continue to pass the blame on to the state. This has to stop. Our families and businesses are paying the price for these mistakes. I will bring accountability back to the local government. I will listen to our advisory boards because they are the voice of our community. I will work with them, not against them. It's time for leadership to take responsibility and deliver results, not excuses.
Hi, my name is Jacques Hadler, and it's so good to see so many friendly faces out here. First, I want to say thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. It's awesome that we have a debate, and it's awesome that we have a forum like this. I think it's telling that 3 of the 8 candidates up here have served on the Chamber board for the last 4 years, including my opponent Howard here. I also want to thank all of you and thank my opponent for running. Democracy works better when there's an opponent and it's a real race. I moved to Moab in around 2000 to work as kind of a backcountry mountain bike guide. I've experienced pretty much all the socioeconomic sectors of town. I lived out of my truck for the first 5 years I was here. I worked seasonally. I know how that goes. I know how hard it is to find a place to camp or find a couch to crash on. And then I transitioned into being a business manager on Main Street. I ran a successful Main Street bike shop in town, an outfitter for 12 years. I worked in the tourism industry 100%, and that tourism industry enabled me to buy a home here in Moab and to raise my family. I have 2 girls in school here. They're both Student of the Month in September for their grades, which I'm more than proud of. They're great girls. I also participate by coaching. I coach the middle school mountain bike team. I do volunteer DJ work at KZMU, another gem of Moab and one of the great things that we have here. I'm a great leader. I've been elected chair for the last 3 years of the Grand County Commission. I try to work with all people. I try to bring people together. I listen. I work really hard, and I will continue to work really hard for Grand County, and I'm looking forward to working for you guys for another 4 years.
Thank you, candidates. Howard, we'll start with you. Everyone has political beliefs and ideals. How do you plan on making sure all of your constituents' voices are heard, even those who disagree with you?
Well, I'm fairly new to this country. I've only been here 34 years now, and I understand that everybody has difference of opinions, and I'd like to say I'm an unaffiliated candidate. And what that means is I'm really willing to work with both sides, because I find the middle is where we'll find consensus and we'll find common ground. For that, I listen to both sides. I actually would like to make some accolades to the early presidents of the United States of America who were declared Democratic Republicans. And that's how I see myself. I have a little bit of both in me, and I cannot be put into one side or the other. I will not be boxed in. And I'm willing to caucus with all parties and all concerns, because that's a commissioner's responsibility and job, is to work with everybody, not just his voters.
Jacques, you have time for a rebuttal?
No, I'll just go ahead and answer the question.
Okay. Do you need a repeat?
Yeah, give me a repeat real quick.
Okay. Everyone has political beliefs and ideals. How do you plan on making sure all of your constituents' voices are heard, even those who disagree with you?
Yeah, we do all have beliefs and ideals, and we all bring baggage to the table and preconceived ideas. I think I've done a really good job in the 4 years of reaching out to many different disparate members of our community. We have a really diverse community here. I've also worked really hard across the aisle. I mean, the first thing when new commissioners have come on, whether they're kind of my beliefs or not, is to go out and have a cup of coffee with them, give them a phone call, get to know them. And that's how I treat everybody in the community. I love coaching middle school because all the parents come out. We go to the meets, and there's a huge swath of Moab out there. And I love having those conversations with different people. It's fantastic. And I agree with what Howard said. It's part of what makes this country great, and part of what makes this country work, and just listening to people and working together and not staying in our own little echo chambers. Not staying on those mean Facebook groups that we all know exist out here. I don't do that. But just take people at their word, meet people where they are, smile at them, have a conversation, have a cup of coffee, have a beer with them, and listen to what they have to say.
Howard, you have time for a rebuttal.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jacques. However, your voting record does not indicate that you even budge to the other side. I think I can't really account for how many 5-2 votes I've witnessed in the county commission. So if you say you really work with both sides, it doesn't show on your voting record.
Okay, Jacques, this one will go to you first. Often, Grand County is seen as an island compared with the rest of the state. What will you do to foster better relationships with state lawmakers and other counties?
Yeah, Grand County is unique. We are kind of seen as an island. There are other areas of the state that we kind of do see eye to eye with, places like Summit County and Salt Lake. I think I've done a great job of getting up to Salt Lake whenever possible. I go up multiple times during the legislative session. I attend all the UAC conferences. I attend the outdoor summits, and I make a huge point of meeting everybody I can, especially the legislatures. I'm on a first-name basis with many of our state legislators. This is crazy, but I actually have Phil Lyman's number in my phone, and we text each other once in a while. He's it's probably surprising, but those are the kind of relationships I make, and I go out of my way to do that, and I will very much continue to do that. I enjoy getting to every part of Utah and meeting every segment, and I also work on bringing legislators down here. Last fall, we had a few legislators from up north come down, working with our lobbyist. Cody had him down and gave him a tour of some of our affordable housing projects down here, and I think it was great, and I got great feedback from those people, and they were really glad to come back down to Grand County, and I'll continue to do that as well.
Thank you. Real quick, Howard, someone from YouTube asked if you could slightly pull the microphone away from your mouth.
Got it.
But you have a 30-second rebuttal.
Actually, I have no rebuttal. Well, actually, I'll say this. We exist in, it's interesting that it's the Beehive state, because what the Beehive represents is collaboration and a strong structure, and that really is particularly in the governments, whether it be county government, city government, state government, and even federal government, particularly in our county. So that collaboration, I love Utah and their ideology, and I stand by that if I am your commissioner.
Okay, Howard, I'll repeat the question. Often, Grand County is seen as an island compared with the rest of the state. What will you do to foster better relationships with state lawmakers and other counties?
Can you repeat the question again?
Often, Grand County is seen as an island compared with the rest of the state. What will you do to foster better relationships with state lawmakers and other counties?
Well, it was interesting watching the hearings that have taken place over the last month. And it reminded me that Grand County is a subdivision of the state of Utah, just like Utah is a part of the American Republic. And the republic has its rules, the state has its rules, and it's important to be in compliance with the rules and be accountable to the state. If we want to change things, that's fine, but if we don't show that we can be in compliance and be on the right track with the state, we're not going to have any say with the state. So I believe we have unique situations here, but that means we need to sit down at the table with the state and find some common ground and really plead our case down here because we have some unique circumstances.
Jacques, 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, just because we're a subdivision of the state doesn't mean we have to agree with them on everything. The state of Utah certainly doesn't agree with the federal government on everything. And also I want to say that the state of Utah espouses local control all the time until the locals push back against the state of Utah control. And then we get squashed. And that's what I'm working hard to mitigate. So I'll keep doing that hard work, and I'm all about local control.
Thank you, candidates. Again, to the audience, please hold any commentary. All right. Howard, you have question number 3, and it says, the state of Utah recently found that Grand County was out of compliance with the use of TRT and TRCC funds, and the state auditor stated that they are withholding tax revenue until the county is in compliance. What steps would you take to get into compliance and then remain in compliance for future TRT and TRCC spending?
First of all, I'd like to state that both taxes are optional volunteer taxes. That means if a county opts to collect, which I think is necessary, it is also obliged to follow the intent of the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and as a county commissioner, I want to be within the rule book and doing what things are. The principal reason for the transient room tax was an economic diversification tool that the state introduced in the 1960s to help counties do something different as an option, not required. And the principal driving force is to attract visitors from outside your county to come into your county. On the back end of that, we create a lot of incomes for various facts, including the Sheriff's Department, solid waste, emergency services, and fun things too, like the free concert series, the stage that the tourists bought for us. So that is, I'd like to be back in compliance and ask the auditor to see what we were doing wrong and correct those so we can receive that vital funding for our community, because we cannot survive without the tourists or the mitigation funds from the tourism taxes.
Jacques, you have time for a rebuttal.
Yeah, I would just say that we did follow the law. The law as code is written, state code, the code is written very ambiguously, and it was written that way on purpose so local governments could kind of adapt that, establish and promote TRT money to how they need to spend it. And I think whenever we asked the auditor or the state how we could spend that, they said, ask your county attorney, and we did that. There's a strong paper trail there. There's a strong, that's fine, I'll continue with my question.
Jacques, I will ask you the same question. The state of Utah recently found that Grand County was out of compliance with the use of TRT and TRCC funds, and the state auditor stated that they are withholding tax revenue until the county is in compliance. what steps would you take to get into compliance and then remain in compliance for future TRT and TRCC spending?
Thank you. Yeah, the auditor did find we're out of compliance. I think I know this issue as well as anybody. I've been in the middle of it the whole time, as everybody here knows. So again, like I said before, the state code is pretty ambiguous. We have 37% to spend on establish and promote. Within that establish, one of the main points is product development. And we think on the point about our Trail Ambassador and Responsible Recreation messaging, that falls squarely within that state code. The audit found 5 different items wrong. One of them was a clerical error. That's been remedied, and that will end up being about $1 million. That's fine. We absolutely made that mistake. We owned it, and we're moving on from there. The other ones we're working on right now. I'm extremely confident that this audit will be totally will be taken care of within the next couple of weeks. We're working hard on it with the auditor. We're working in very good faith. We're working to come into compliance. We're gonna meet them in the middle on certain things. There may be a few things that we still aren't sure about with the auditor, but it'll happen. Our taxes or our funds will be turned back on, and we'll move forward from there. And we'll have potentially different interpretations, and we'll continue to collect TRT tax. Not collecting the tax would be incredibly irresponsible. We use about $5 million in mitigation to fund our search and rescue, to fund especially our sheriff's department, to fund solid waste. So I'm absolutely not in favor of not collecting TRT taxes. I think that'd be crazy.
Howard, do you have time for a rebuttal?
Really just 2 things. I'm wondering if the current commission, how much they listened to the advisory board on this. And then secondly, I would like to ask the commissioners currently how they handled the situation, how the leadership was, how the transparency was. Whatever the audit said, what our leadership did and how they handled it was very not transparent. Many of the commissioners had no idea that our chair and vice chair were called upstate.
Okay, for the final question, it's Howard's turn. No, Shock's turn. Sorry. We're trying to keep pictures. It's hard. Okay, so I know we've heard this question before, so I'm going to make it a little funner. Look into the future for 5 years. But if we were to follow your vision, Jacques, for the county, what would that look like?
Unicorns farting, rainbows jumping over the cliffs. In 5 years, my daughter's going to be a senior in high school. I have a ton of skin in the game here. I love Grand County so much. I've traveled all over the West. I've lived in double-digit places, and this is where I decided to make my home and raise a family. I would love to see continued, very sustained growth. I'd love to see attainable housing for more people. I'd love it if situations when I came here in the early 2000s, you could buy a house reasonably. I bought my first house on a $35,000 a year salary and got a mortgage. So I would love to get back to that place, and I think that we may be able to do it. I would love to see tourists happy and also paying for their impacts. I'd like to see our streets quiet, and I would like to see us all getting along. I'd like to see us, sharing a beer at the bar together. Both sides, all sides. I don't think there's 2 sides. I think there's many shades of gray here. But also enjoying our great outdoors without horrible impacts, enjoying our river, enjoying the trails that we have, having more trails to enjoy, and having those trails well maintained and be the best trails that they could possibly be. Air clean, skies dark. Like Jason said, dark skies don't mean dark streets. Just point those lights down. Moab's a super safe town. I don't lock my house. You can take that to the bank, and I'm going to feel comfortable tonight going to bed, even though I said that here. And I want to see that continue. It's one of my favorite things about Moab. It's so great. I think it's going to be a great 5 years, and I'm looking forward to seeing him as your leader.
Howard, 30-second rebuttal.
I'd like to say that the vision can be outside the box too, things that perhaps are not on everybody's radar. Those are things that I will answer the question on when it comes to me.
Okay, Howard, I will repeat the question. Look into the future 5 years. If we were to follow your vision for the county, what would that look like?
I'd like to see our county back where it was 5 years ago with I wouldn't build another hotel until the hotels that we currently have are doing better, because if they're doing better, so are all the businesses. So just getting back to even a average 65% average annual occupancy would be fantastic. But 5 years ago, Grand County signed up for a very unique initiative, and it was really pioneering that House Bill 422, which was a net zero bill that the state of Utah said that by 2030, we're going to be net zero. And I thought, wow, I'm a solar guy. Is there any land available, just even a small portion of Grand County, that could deliver green, renewable energy to our community and to everybody that lives in Castle Valley? I would help the rattlesnake line brownouts that you all suffer from. But this could be done on public lands. On the back end of that, I would work with our federal leadership to find a royalty tax that would be payable to our county and maybe offset the need for property taxes. Because I love the Moab Cities trick that they made visitors pay the city budget. I would love to restore that, not just for our city, but also for our county, where we really maximize what our visitors pay since they want to be here and minimize the cost on you, the locals, because you know what? You deserve the very best and the hardest work to make your lives as easy as possible.
Jacques, 30-second rebuttal.
No, I don't need to rebut that. Thanks.
Okay, Howard, we will give you 2 minutes for a closing statement.
My professional life has taught me the values of vision and service. I pledge to serve people, not ideology. Grand County will be a place where the genuine care and comfort of the locals is my highest mission. By utilizing my leadership skills, I believe Grand County, alongside Moab and our partners at all levels, will deliver outcomes that benefit all locals and not just a select few. Grand County deserves a fresh start. It needs leadership that understands its people, stays in touch with their needs, and is dedicated to serving the many. I'm committed to working together as a team. Grand County is ready for a bright future. Let's work to improve and give one of the most passionate immigrants and now an 11-year citizen a chance to serve Moab and Greater Grand County. I ask for your trust to serve you as County Commissioner for District 3. Together we can build a future where the locals come first.
Please hold applause until both candidates.
That's fine.
Jacques, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Thank you. Thanks again, everybody, for coming here. It's great to be able to actually talk about the issues. And speaking of that, I would ask you to look at all the candidates that have spoken tonight or that are about to speak. There's 8 of us. Look at the substance there. We've all had a lot of opportunity to speak to our platform, speak to our solutions. We've answered questions for the TI. That was great. We've put things in the advertiser. Sun News is going to come out with something. I very much encourage all of you to read those and read them carefully and make your mind up about the candidates. I think some candidates clearly have solutions to some of our problems and have the experience to solve those, and other candidates just have grievances, honestly. So again, look carefully, consider us well. I think that I am a great leader for the county. I've learned so much in my 4 years, and it does take a long time to learn. You don't know everything going in. You might think you do, but it's a steep learning curve when you get in. And I did the very hard work to get up to speed, and I'll use that experience for the next 4 years to work as hard as I can. I've made tons of relationships. We actually have a good relationship with the city of Moab. I go out for coffee with the mayor every other month. Two of the council members are 2 of my best friends. I see them almost every day. And we do work on solutions. So I think that's just patently false that the city and the county don't work well together. If you look at your tax bill, your county's portion of the tax bill is not, I was hoping I would get this question, is only 12% of that bill. There's so many other things that go into that. I actually took a snapshot of mine before I came down here. So there's just so much more going on that you see. I think substance is where it's at, and I very much look forward to serving you all for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you, candidates. We would now like to invite up the at-large.
Okay, guys, this is our last and final debate. This is county at large, so this is the big one. Everyone gets to vote on this one. When we did the coin toss, I believe Brian won, and Ashley has asked that Ashley goes first, right? So Ashley, 2 minutes for an introduction.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for staying so late. It feels like the middle of the night, so I really appreciate your being here. I fell in love with Moab in 1996 and began building Western Spirit Cycling in 97. I've been employing locals year-round for nearly 30 years. My husband and I raised our son here. He graduated from Grand County High School. I, too, got to coach. The fun thing about coaching soccer and mountain biking is that you see these kids grow up. They start out really uncoordinated, and they get a lot stronger. It's awesome. And while I was doing all that, I got involved with a lot of boards and commissions. From the HMK Community Council to, I'm currently serving on the Chamber Board and the Economic Development Advisory Board. And I've also served on a bunch of state boards. I served on the BLM Resource Advisory Council for 8 years for the state of Utah. And also got appointed to a board for the Utah State Legislature. And in that work, I've really learned how to work effectively in a board setting, and it's not easy. It's not the same as running a business. And it's something that it's really important to listen to everyone on the commission and really think about their perspective and what they bring to the possible solutions. For the last 10 years, I've been working as an economic development consultant from Montana to New Mexico. And I've worked in cities and communities all over the West, and a lot of them have the same problems that we have here in Moab. So I figured it was time for me to bring that knowledge and help my own community, and I'm really excited for the possibility of doing this work and bringing some of those solutions and other practices that other communities have sorted out already and that may really help us here in Moab. I'm excited to bring all that knowledge to the commission.
Thank you. Brian, 2 minutes.
Yeah, you got it. Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Martinez, and I never saw myself up here running and talking about local politics, right? But like many here in the room, I'm seeing that we have a lot of problems, and I want to help work on those problems. I moved to Grand County 22 years ago, for an opportunity to work on the Colorado River, but I've stayed here for the community. I lived in an RV when I first showed up until I found stable housing. It was through the Southeastern Utah Housing Authority, which was awesome, and I started to raise my family here. As a father, I take every opportunity to enjoy the outdoors with my kids. I have 2 boys. One's in middle school, and the other one's a freshman in high school. I raised them with their mom, who works at our community village. I've worked for 18 years as a guide for Navtech, where I'm currently the general manager. We employ 50 of the best river and off-road guides anywhere in the country. Many people in Moab here, we live paycheck to paycheck, right? And I know how that feels. Over the years, I've been lifted up by this community, and so many have had my back along the way. There's the people working in the trenches, and they're not often heard or recognized until they start feeling the consequences, right? And then it's too late. Myself and others have asked the county for more support, and they're not listening. They're not listening to me. They're not listening to you. They're not listening to the state. We need leaders who acknowledge our problems and are committed to solving them. It's time to get our house in order. I can provide a unique perspective to the commission because my lived experience is relevant to the problems that we're facing today. Thanks.
Please hold your applause until the end. Look into the future 5 years. This is for Ashley. Look into the future in 5 years. If we were to follow your vision for the county, what would it look like?
So we live in one of the most spectacular places on the planet. And we have the opportunity to lead in creating a balanced, resilient, sustainable economy from our visitors and from the incredible quality of life that we have here in Moab. So I really believe that we can create an economy that will work for everyone. We're on the right track in many places. We have lots more work to do, but if you think about how many visitors want to come here and how special this place is, it's all about finding ways to manage our visitors that minimize local disruption, cost, all those challenges. And the work I've been doing on the recreation economy across the West, I've been learning about those techniques for how to invite and inspire and encourage people to come and build a relationship with your community. So they're not just drive-by, we're going Moab, Zion, Vegas kind of people, that they really come and stay an extra day and have more of a commitment to Moab. And I think if we work on that, we're going to be the example for much of rural Utah, because so many communities in the rural West are pivoting away from oil and gas and coal, especially coal right now, and they're looking for new ways to attract business investment through quality of life. And we should be the example. We have the opportunity to make sure, absolutely no kids in Grand County should go to school hungry. We don't want people sleeping in their cars. We can do this work. It takes some detailed work, and it takes relationships and knowledge, but it's totally possible for us to build an economy that would work for everyone in Grand County, and I really look forward to doing that work. I know you guys all believe in this place, and we can do it.
Brian, do you have 30-second rebuttal?
That's okay, I can just go on.
Okay, do you need a repeat of the question?
Yes, please.
Look into the future, 5 years. If we were to follow your vision for the county, what would it look like?
So I'd like to see a county where we all have a say, right? I'd like a time where we're listening to everybody that's out there and that we're taking action on the things that are being said. I'd like to see a county where those guys that are sitting in the back right there have a future. When I first came to Moab, I saw this place as an opportunity. I came here and I said, wait, we start in March and we end rafting in November. I can actually make this a lifetime job. And this is a totally unique place because it's one of the few places in the world where you can actually be a guide, and that's your lifetime job. And I've seen that dream right there slowly slip away from housing problems, right? And that's something that we definitely need to solve, or at least we need to start taking action. I've seen that ball kicked back and forth over the years, from one side over to the other, right? Give me the ball. I'm ready to shoot. Let's start taking some action and start making some actual plans. I'd also like to see a Moab where we start welcoming our guests. I think that everybody here needs to understand the value that the tourists do provide to us. My bills are all paid because of it. I know that we have all these great services that are offered because of it. And without that, I think that we're going to be in trouble. I've seen places where their economies have crashed and things get bad, right? First thing, the taxpayers have to start paying for all these services they didn't know were being funded by other people. And then after that, right, people start losing their homes because they can't afford to live here anymore. And I don't want to see that in Moab, Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. You have a 30-second rebuttal, Ashley.
I think we all want to take actions to improve people's lives. I think the question is, what are those specific actions and how can we do it? And I think that the work I've been doing on managing visitors and advertising to visitors and using new marketing techniques are really important. And there are so many affordable housing schemes that haven't quite worked right, and so it's really important to understand which ones work and which ones don't. So that expertise is really needed.
Thank you. All right, Brian, this question starts with you. We are a small town, and there are going to be conflicts of interest in many issues. What is an ethical way to disclose and address a conflict of interest on items commissioners vote on?
That's a really good question right there.
It took us a long time to write it.
So, that comes down to one word right there, and that's integrity, right? We need to have integrity when we're up there making our votes. Because without that integrity, right, we're going to continue on with this system of mistrust. I'd like to believe that everybody here in the room can trust me. You know, I can look anybody here in the eye and say, hey, you know, this is me, this is what I think, and I think that people will respect that right there. Now, there's going to be times, right, I mean, I'm a river guide, that there are going to be, you know, conflicts of interest, like you said. And being able to disclose those, you know, is tough. I mean, I understand how, you know, you want what's best for what you want. But being able to step out of that situation, I think is going to be better for all people in the community. You know, with that, it's about a system of leadership, I think, that we're missing right now in the county. What I'm not seeing right now is, you know, a system to where we're actually, you know, running it as a business would, right? As a business person, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, all right, this is the performance level that I want to see right here. And so I'm going to set that expectation. I'm going to find those goals right there, and then I'm going to move on and make sure that it's running efficiently. So anyways, thanks. That's all I got.
Ashley, 30-second rebuttal.
I can just answer it.
Do you want me to reread the question?
Sure, because you worked so hard on it.
We are a small town, and there are going to be conflicts of interest in many issues. What is an ethical way to disclose and address a conflict of interest on items commissioners vote on?
So when I served on the Quality Growth Commission for the state, the lawyer gave us a training on this. And they made it really clear that if you had a financial interest in something the commission was voting on, that you had to recuse yourself from that vote. And he gave us the rules and explained what a financial interest meant. And so I think, you know, if you're working on general recreation, which both Brian and I do, and that really does need to be part of the work that counties do, that wouldn't apply. But if it affected our permits specifically, then we would need to recuse ourselves. I think the issue here, too, is it's really important to have tactics to get to the goals that you're setting. And when we look at protecting our public lands, the driving force behind our economy, there are lots of tactics out there for reaching certain goals, but it's all in the details. The work I really want to do involves much better use of our TRT funds. I don't think we're going to get that question because you've asked it so many times, but maybe we will. But anyway, we need to use funds in both categories more efficiently. And that involves some experience knowing how those advertising campaigns work and how mitigation also works. And the most successful counties that I've seen around the West have incredibly great relationships with their land managers. And we've done a big job here in Moab with trail mix. Trail mix is something that counties across the West are actually copying, because the reason it's so important is because the agencies are cooperating agencies with the counties. When trail mix has a meeting, the Park Service, the Forest Service, and the BLM all have to show up. And that's been a big part of Moab's successful recreation economy.
Brian, 30-second rebuttal.
You know, I can answer that real quick. You know, there was one thing that you said that I completely agree with, and that's that we should be listening to our attorneys.
Perfect.
All right. So we have the third question. This will start with you, Ashley. The county recently spent $250,000 to develop a strategic plan called Trail to Tomorrow. What parts of the strategic plan do you think we need to focus on, and how would you make sure it doesn't just become a report that sits on a shelf?
Yeah, that was a really important thing to do. We learned that that plan included a visitor survey. So one of the things that's really important to think about if you want to have a successful gateway community, historically, there has been the tourism folks, and they're doing all the marketing over here, right? New Mexico True, Life Elevated, that kind of thing. And then there's the product development folks, which are the BLM and the agencies and the Forest Service, right? And can you imagine running a business where the marketing department didn't talk to the product development department? Because that's kind of what we have. And so what that strategic plan talks about is doing recreation right. It says, look, diversifying is going to be hard for you guys right now because you don't have housing and you don't have enough workforce to really attract other industries. You could continue to support the industries you have, but you're not going to get a new light manufacturer moving to Moab. But what we can do is be the worldwide example for how to run a recreation economy that creates revenue flows that support everyone in our community. So I think that plan's really important, and there's very, my recreation consulting nonprofit actually contributed to the plan, and I think it is really a great opportunity to learn more and do a better job to make our economy, do the detailed work to make our economy work for everyone in our community. I think there are some parts of it that are really important that it didn't cover as well as it could have. And one of those has to do with local input. They had several local meetings, but they weren't well attended for whatever reason. And so the other piece that needs to complement that report is more input from locals in Moab. And that's something that I've done tons of public meetings, and I'm always most interested in the people who disagree with me because
Thank
that's
you,
where you
Ashley.
learn the most.
Thank you. Brian, do you have a 30-second rebuttal?
I'll just go ahead and answer the
Do you
question.
need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
The county recently spent $250,000 to develop a strategic plan called Trail to Tomorrow. What parts of the strategic plan do you think we need to focus on, and how would you make sure it doesn't just become a report that sits on a shelf?
You know, just till now, I didn't know that that was $250,000 for that report. That's quite a bit of money to spend on something like that. You know, I worked on that. I participated in the event as well. You know, I wasn't there to build it or not, but I did watch the end of it, and I've looked through it quite extensively. And the one thing that I haven't noticed is a predictable economy. I mean, I think that's what us businesses are really looking for. We're looking for less of this up, down, back up again, right? We want to find somewhere that's right in the middle. I'd like to see something that has an actual measurable goal so that we know as business people, we need to bring on this many people this season, right? And that these guys, they're going to have work that entire season. It did not mention one time in that report supporting our local economy, or I'm sorry, our current economy. You know, when it came to the point of what are we going to go ahead and do, I mean, even their little diversification plans are things that are happening right now already. We already have search and rescue that are going out and bringing fire departments in from all over the nation to go ahead and do that. It didn't mention any of the great diversifications that we're already seeing right now. I look at Bronco Off-Road and how they're out there teaching tread lightly courses. I mean, those are all things that are happening. So it missed a lot that we're already seeing. You know, but the one thing that they did reach on that I think is key is that housing is our #1 priority. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about that. Maybe I'll get a chance in another one of the questions. Thanks.
Ashley, you have time for a rebuttal?
Well, I think the point the report was making was that we should teach what we're good at and what we know. And so that's what they were talking about, growing the search and rescue teaching and growing the teaching about off-road driving and that type of thing. So I think there's a lot in there, and I think it really can be a useful tool.
Thank you.
Okay, this one will start with Brian. Just verifying. Do you feel that county tax dollars have been spent wisely in recent years? If so, in what ways? If not, how would you change it?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you feel that county tax dollars have been spent wisely in recent years? If so, in what ways? And if not, how would you change it?
Thanks for that. So I haven't gone through and done a very thorough job yet of examining the budget. And to actually find out where there's waste, I think that I would just be shooting from the hip, and I don't think that that's a fair assessment. What I do think, and I was talking a little bit about before, is I think that we need to do a performance audit. I mean, we've gone through and had some financial audits and found out where we were at that way. But the second kind of audit that we really need is going to be a performance audit, right? We need to make sure that our resources that we have are being used efficiently, right? We need to set measurable goals so that we know how to fund places, right? And then we need to monitor those results and those methods. And that's one thing after, going around and visiting with all the boards here that I've definitely noticed. We hand money out, we do things that way, but there's no monitoring, there's no reevaluating. We don't check to see how these programs are actually working. And I'd really like to see that because I think it's going to improve efficiency, I think it's going to increase accountability, and I think it's going to make us better decision makers in the long run. Thanks.
Thank you. Ashley, 30-second rebuttal.
I don't have to rebut it.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Do you feel that county tax dollars have been wisely spent in recent years? If so, in what ways? If not, how would you change it?
Okay, so the county budget is something like $80 million. And a lot of that money comes in through certain sources, and it's already earmarked to spend on certain things. So the amount that is discretionary is a lot less than that. So when we look at goals, yes, I agree that we should have goals. The question is, what tactics are you going to use to achieve those goals? And I think one of the challenges, because kind of what the question is getting at too, is what happens when the commissioners disagree about how the money should be spent? Because we just saw some of that, right? And what I've learned about working with government is that when you lose a vote, what you need to do next is work harder to convince people that your ideas are good. And that's really important. Instead of undermining the commission, what needs to happen is you need to work together to talk about, well, why didn't I win this vote? What can I do to better expand the thing I'm promoting so that we'll meet more people's needs so that I can win the vote? So I actually don't think I think we all want our economy to function, and I think it's unfortunate when we get so divided about budgets that we really treat each other badly. And I think that this accusing folks of wrongdoing when there wasn't any is really unfortunate. So the way we need to think about the money is we definitely need to use it effectively and efficiently. And there was talk about sort of going backwards, and I don't think we can go backwards. I think we have an opportunity to spend this money in a forward-looking way, the discretionary money that we have, to build a community that is resilient. So there's a lot of opportunity to do that.
Brian, 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, you talked about the discretionary money and how that money should be spent. One of the things that I think we're missing out on is that we're not listening to our advisory boards, right? We have all these great community-led advisory boards, and we take their advice and we go ahead and act however we want anyways. We also have a bunch of great directors that are running departments, right? These are our experts, and we're not listening to them. Every time that we vote against them, we're saying that we know better than they do.
Thank you, candidates. We will have Ashley lead us with a closing statement.
So, like I mentioned, and I think you all agree with, we live in one of the most spectacular places on the planet, right? So the trick is, how do we make our economy work for everyone? And the answer is going to be in the nuts and bolts of how we proceed, how we set those goals, and how we get things done. We have so much potential. I mean, look at just USU. We're just starting to utilize all the things that they can serve us with. They have English as a second language, high school diploma, and then hospitality courses. That could create more workforce for all of us to hire. There is the work that's going on with the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. There are tons of programs that we are not taking advantage of, and we can be. I think the Chamber's plans are really incredible for supporting businesses. Here's what I think is going to happen. Moab has the opportunity to be a rural leader across the whole West on how to run an economy that works for everyone. And places like Price and Vernal and Richfield that are starting to use their public lands for quality of life to attract both visitors and business investment are going to look to us to see how to get that balance and how to do those things right. And as we do that work, our value to the state is going to be more and more obvious. So I think that's going to help our relationships with the state. And it really is about a changing economy in the West, and Moab has the opportunity to be the leader. So I really appreciate everyone being here. I really appreciate all the work that the Chamber has done, and I know how hard it was. And I think that, you know, part of what we have the opportunity to do is work together a lot better. And I really am committed to doing that, and I have the experience and the, I've really been living these problems for a long time, and I look forward to bringing those solutions to Grand County.
Please hold your applause until both candidates give their closing statement. Brian, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, thanks so much. First off, I just want to say it's been an incredible opportunity to speak to everyone here tonight. I did want to get back into where I think that the mistrust is coming from, because I did miss out on that, right? Right now, we got an auditor's notice that was 60 days that nobody here, that it was not shared with the commission, you know, it wasn't shared with the county attorney, and it hasn't been shared with the public. This today actually is the first update that I've had on anything that's been happening with our frozen accounts. We had $4 million, right, in misappropriated funds. We had transferring restricted funds into non-restricted accounts. We've had 2 legislative hearings, right, and 2 audits. We've had 3 years of non-compliance with audit committees, and we've had millions and millions of dollars of gross misrepresentation in 21 and 22 financial statements. That's how we got here, right? I want to close with where I stand on things, okay? I support workers, families, and small local businesses by investing in our economy. I support affordable housing by removing density restrictions and incentivizing local occupancy. And I support financial responsibility by not playing politics with your guys' taxpayer money. If we continue on our path of social injustice, we're going to end up for a town only for the elite. I don't pretend to have all the answers, and I want to be able to listen to all the members of our community. Thanks. My lived experiences is like that of many who work hard and live here in Moab. We need representation from someone who understands the daily struggles that our community faces. Without that voice, our commission is out of touch. I want to thank the Moab Chamber for hosting us tonight. I want to thank all the candidates who took time away from their families to be here. And I want to thank all of you for allowing me the opportunity to talk and the opportunity to possibly serve you as the next Grand County Commissioner. Thanks.
Wow, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely don't want to run for commission anymore. Whew.
Either.
That was hard, but they did so good. Oh my gosh. Another round of applause, guys. Like, wow. And I don't know if you guys have been up here on the stage. These lights are so hot. Like, I was like drenched earlier. So this really is super hard.
It was. And again, thank you, candidates. Thank you, Star Hall. We appreciate you. Thank you, Carter, for getting this live streamed for us.
And just a reminder, this will be on a loop play on Channel 6 tomorrow, also on the Chamber's YouTube, so you can go back and watch all of the spicy moments, you know, getting heckled by the audience. Just me, not the candidates. It's fine. You know. Anyways, we really appreciate you guys coming out here to support us. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to be the Chamber president next year, go ahead. I'm taking volunteers.
Thank you, guys.